Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of Small Town Big Stories, where we chronicle the people of Belagavi who have made the city proud. And it is one such very special day because we have with us Dr. Sachin Sabnis. How does
Thank
it
you.
feel? That is going to be our first question. Dr. Sabnis has been conferred with the honorary doctorate by Vishwesvaraya Technological University, Belagavi. And he's the first person from Belagavi who has been conferred with this prestigious title, the doctorate. How does it feel, sir, to be called Dr. Sachin Sabnis?
Basically, first of all, thank you very much. I'd like to thank you, Uday, as well as Kiran, for getting me on All About Belgaum.
Yeah.
Coming back to your question, how does it feel? Well, basically, it has just not sunk in
Yes.
inside me being called as a doctor, so I'm not using the name or doctor as such at present, but it feels proud and it feels happy.
Now you are in the league of Dr. APJ Kalam, Nandan Nilekani, Anand Mahindra, and
Well,
that's such an honor for Belgaum as a whole.
That's a very esteemed company to be in,
Yes.
and I'm really thankful to the Honorable Governor of Karnataka, the Vice Chancellor, the Academic Council, as well as the Executive Council, who were kind enough to think of me and think about my contribution towards the industry,
Right.
as well as some social causes
Right.
that they thought of conferring on me this particular doctorate. But,
Right.
I want to thank them.
You just said it's still not sunk in.
Exactly, exactly. That's
What were your thoughts? Because I guess you are also one of the youngest to have been
yes,
given this.
I didn't think. I've been an entrepreneur for last more than 28 years now,
Yes.
but most of the time we just keep on working.
Yeah.
And maybe just a week prior to, or 3 or 4 days prior to the convocation, when I got a call saying that you have been conferred with this, I was not able to believe.
Okay.
And I didn't know whether I should tell someone about this or no. So for an hour, 2 hours, I just kept quiet. I thought like let the whole thing sink in first with
Okay.
me, then I can just communicate it to my
Okay.
close and loved ones.
Yeah. You just said that you've been an entrepreneur for
Yeah.
over 28 years. You've started your journey way back, but of late, apart from your entrepreneurship, you are also one of those new age thought leaders of Belagavi, and I think that is one thing which I would feel that role, that whatever you play, that role as a thought leader is very much important in the scheme of things for a better India, for an emergent India. But coming back to your growing up days, we are just opposite to your St. Paul's High School. We'd like to know more about your upbringing, your childhood.
Yeah, I was born in Belagavi, but during my early part of my life, I did move to some of the places like Delhi, Jamnagar, because my
Okay.
father was ex-serviceman. He used to
Okay.
work in Indian Air Force.
Okay.
So I moved along with him. And I think somewhere way back in 78, 79, we came back to Belagavi.
Okay.
And then he joined the bank. But I had a great childhood. I have a younger sister and two of us. But the most important thing that impacted me during my childhood was my father. And his inspiration to be an entrepreneur. Basically, he always worked everywhere, but he tried his bits at doing some entrepreneurship himself.
While being in the service.
Yeah, so
Okay.
from childhood, I was lucky enough, I say, because back then in 80s and 90s, when most of the parents wanted their kids to be in software or try
Yes.
to go and work in some good or big companies, I was lucky enough that my parents, especially my father, was really inspirational, and he always told me that you have to go out and work for yourself or create some employment rather than seeking a job.
That's such a
So
good
whatever
thing. Yeah.
we see maybe now with a lot of government promotion saying that rather being a job seeker, be a job creator. He
Yes.
told me something of that sort more than maybe 30 years, 35 years
Okay.
back. And that pushed me to be a entrepreneur. Basically, I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. Once I came out of my engineering college, that was I passed out in 1993.
Okay.
And that was the time when most of the people, the software had just started and a lot of people were doing some small courses.
Those were the dream jobs that time.
Absolutely. And Y2K was
Yeah,
another thing that was building up during that time. And most of my friends or the peers in my class, they usually traveled to US and had a great life out there. But then I thought like, I want to stay here and do something.
So you never took up a job.
I did take up a job basically,
Okay.
but I took a job to just learn the things.
Okay.
My first job was with Bemco Hydraulics for about a year. And then I worked for another year and a half at Ashoka and Works.
But Bemco, we should recall yesterday Modi ji referred to Baburao Pusarkar ji,
He
who was the founder
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the industries in Belgaum.
Baburao Pusarkar has been a pioneer. Basically, he's a pioneer for industries in Belagavi, and especially, I would say, a father of hydraulics.
Yeah.
Especially in India, I would say he was a father of hydraulics in India. So his contribution towards the industry has been amazing.
Yes.
And maybe I always feel that Belagavi has not been very kind enough to have something in his name.
Right.
Baburao Pusarkar should be given more importance and more recognition, especially in Belagavi.
But then the Pusarkar family is very much vibrant, active
Yeah,
in
they are.
Belgaum. They have
Yes.
the industry here.
Yes.
He's still very much
Yes, they are there. They are continuing
supporting,
with the legacy.
yeah.
They are continuing with the legacy.
Yeah.
But we cannot forget Baburao Pusarkar.
Yes,
for his
definitely,
contribution.
yes.
Because Baburao Pusarkar and Kirloskar. These were the two
Kirloskars.
people.
Yeah.
And Belagavi should do something to recognize
Yeah.
them always.
How long did it take for you to start out on your own, and was the ecosystem, very supportive of such a thing?
Honestly, ecosystem was not supportive. I will try to put it from 2 points. One is the external environment, and another thing is the internal environment. Internally, maybe in 90s, if someone is trying to venture out on their own, now we have a lot of things called as a startup and a
Yes.
lot of support from the. It was some kind of a startup, you can say,
Yeah, yeah.
back then, but we didn't call it as a startup. We just tried to do something. Well, the ecosystem was not that supportive enough, but then once we had decided that I want to do something on my own, that whole drive of entrepreneurship usually gets you there. And honestly, Belagavi has been one wonderful place where you have so many entrepreneurs,
Right.
and they have been on their own
Right.
without any support,
Yes.
because there has not been a support lately. In last 5, 6, 8 years, there has been a lot of intervention from the government to see
yes.
that the startups or the industry grow. But back then in 1995, when I started, it was difficult. But after a couple of 2 or 3 years, since I was ready for all the toils or all the troubles that would come my way, I took it on. But secondly, as I said, the internally, not many people, when you are of a marriageable age or something, they don't want to get their girls married to someone who is an entrepreneur, because they really don't know.
I mean, this
whether,
hasn't
he's-
changed even yet.
He is going to be successful, because they would
Right.
rather prefer a person
With a
working
steady
in a
job,
software
yeah.
company,
Right.
and even girls would like to go to Bombay, Bangalore, or
True.
Pune rather than marry someone in Belgaum, though
Right.
he might be a very successful entrepreneur.
You mentioned about facing some sort of troubles. What were those? And do you feel that if somebody has to start a business today, would they be the same ones? What would you advise them?
No, see, back then the capital availability was a big crisis. The interest rates were pretty high. Then land availability was a problem back then, but sadly, I would say in a place like Belagavi, it is still a problem even today. It has not solved after even 30 years. So we need to really look into it. So basically, it is more to do with the infrastructure issue. As I said, we have wonderful entrepreneurs out here. Why Belagavi? All over India. But somehow, if we could do more to help them out on the infrastructure front, I think these entrepreneurs would achieve much greater than we usually speak about China or most of the East European countries doing well. But
Yeah.
India can very well be far better than them if these kind of small supports are given by the government.
Last week in our third episode, when we met Ajit Patil of Rivet Motors, he mentioned that he was lucky that he could find the kind of support he needed to develop at the cast, the dies for his vehicle, because Udyam Bagh was ready for that. Do you feel in the heavy engineering, precision engineering, the foundry industry, Belgaum has that ecosystem for expansion?
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said, Belgaum has wonderful entrepreneurs, and lot of work is happening where precision work is happening. A lot of people catering to defense, space, hydraulics, automobile. You find all the sphere of industry in Belgavi.
But are we at our best? Are we achieving our potential?
Absolutely. These
Or is
people-
there scope for more?
No. These people are supplying. See, with a scope, there is always a scope for more development.
Right.
But these people are top-notch people who can do top-notch work for top-of-the-line industries.
Right.
As I'll tell you, my company, I supply to Rolls-Royce. Not many people know. Now, Rolls-Royce is considered to be a top-of-the-class car or diesel engines or gensets that they come with ship engines for
Yes.
defense and all. They don't compromise on any of their products. So these products are all top-notch products, and people out here, you have to visit to them and see, like Vega helmets. Their helmets are second to none in the world. You go to hydraulics, you go to crankshafts. Today, Netalkars, they control more than they manufacture more than 30,000-40,000 individually, or put together. The group manufactures around 70,000 crankshafts in Belagavi.
Yes.
So they are the biggest manufacturers of crankshaft in India as
Right.
such. So these are high precision components and high precision jobs. Or Deepak Dadoti is there. He is doing a lot of work for ISRO,
Right.
DRDO. The other few people who are doing this. So we have people. Maybe a little bit of a push from government, little bit of help on the infrastructure, and they can really grow 10x. That's what I feel.
The honor that you've got, the doctorate that you've got, is for your contribution to industry, and Belgaum Ferrocast is
Yeah.
a shining example of that. You have built such a huge company providing employment to over 600 people. Tell us a little bit about this story.
Basically, as I said, we started way back in 1995, and that time I had my own company called as a Sai Founders and Engineers, and then we just organically grew it. And in 2007, I had a support of, I have a partner called as a Niranjan Sant. You might be knowing
I
him,
know.
and he is the chairman of my company.
Okay.
So both of us, we used to operate independently with a machine shop and a foundry. And that was the time we merged into Belgaum Ferrocast. And since we had from 95 to 2007, we had a pretty good knowledge about the industry as well as market. And we knew a lot of customers. So it was pretty easy transition for us from being a partnership company to a private limited company. And from there, in 2008, we set up the first semi-automated foundry in Belagavi.
Okay.
Ashokan was already there, but not many people had ventured into semi-automated.
Okay.
Because there was another, as I said, you were asking me what might be the little bit of a challenges. In Belagavi, the people are a little bit conservative when it comes to expansion or
Yes.
growing. If you compare to the neighboring
Or rather,
places like
taking
Kolhapur,
risk, high risk.
if you consider to Kolhapur or some other places, but I look at it holistically, and I feel that's because maybe the availability of funds, because of a lot of financial sector, having a widespread financial sector in Kolhapur
Right.
with this all cooperative societies
banks
and
and
cooperative
societies.
movement.
Yeah.
And secondly, the support from the government.
Yes.
The industrial policy of Maharashtra government for long has been really encouraging. Lately, after the last 2-3 years back, Karnataka government has also stepped in to push or give a push for manufacturing sector, and they are trying to do their bit on
Right.
that. But still, a lot of things need to be improved on.
Right. As you said, in Maharashtra, there are very specific help that the government does, including I've visited several automobile plants in Sakan, Ranjangaon,
Yeah.
and they tell that there's just 1 or 2 days in a year when the plant is shut down
Absolutely.
because of.
So we have a little bit of a relaxed attitude. I won't say only for the workers, but even the owners are a little bit.
Is that inherent to Belgaum?
See, Belagavi has always been a beautiful city.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Belagavi has its own vibes.
Yeah.
You cannot the people who have stayed in Belagavi know about Belagavi vibes. It is not you go to Hubli, you go to Kolhapur, and they'll say that it's not like Belagavi.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Belagavi for last 100 years, there has been confluence of a lot of things out here.
Right.
Like right now we are sitting in this camp area, and it has been so beautiful. A lot of Parsis, Christian,
Yes.
Muslims, then Hindus, all
Yes.
put in a boiling pot kind of stuff. Then Maratha light infantry,
Yes.
the army, the cant area, the cantonment and all. It has built a different kind of a culture out here. Here people are a little bit different thinking. And maybe they are also, as because there was so much of comfort, they are a little bit conservative, and they want to be a little bit laid back when it comes to.
Laid back, yes.
Yeah, they don't want to really go and give a push or really be aggressive.
But I think that's
more.
changing. The entrepreneurial ecosystem is developing thanks to efforts by people like you. You have been part of Udyog Bharati, and you have done wonderful work.
Yeah.
The Gram Shilpi Mela that we saw was a completely new town. It was a completely new experience. I'm calling it a town because
Yeah.
I deal with handicrafts, and when I went there, I found so many resources there. Unimaginable that so many people could come together in Belgaum, and you through Laghu Udyog Bharati and your team organized that.
Yeah.
How did you come into social work, being a hardcore engineering manufacturing person?
No, see, I will tell you, the inclination for social work was there since beginning. The day I thought about being an entrepreneur, as I said, one thing is I didn't want to work for somebody, but I did want to create employment.
Yeah.
So once I think I want to create an employment, it starts from there.
Right.
Like you want to take care of people, you want to take care of families. Today,
Right.
when I have 600 people employed, it is as good as employing 600 families out there and
Yes.
taking care of them. So basically, even during engineering time, I always thought like lot many students or lot many people who are in engineering, they don't think. Like I did engineering way back when maybe my fees, what I paid was only 6,000 or 8,000 rupees in 1989 or 90. Now in 6,000, nobody becomes an engineer. Even today, the kids who join engineering and who have a merit seat or a CET seat, they pay around 35,000 rupees.
Right.
35,000 rupees for 4 years or into 4, that's maybe 1,20,000. 1,20,000 is a kindergarten fee,
Yeah.
as you might know. So
For your at many places.
so it is the society which is chipping in
Yeah.
for your education and all. So at the end, you have to give back to the society.
Yes.
I always feel whatever you are is because of the society around you, the
Right.
samaj besides you. And that has been the ideological training for me from my childhood. And I always felt that I have to give back to the society in one way or the other. Whatever the causes of the society, the social causes, or if I could help someone who needs help. And I always think I have made it a part of my life that every day I should help at least one person.
Okay, every day.
Every day, person, I feel very happy. I don't
Okay.
want to help lot many people, but one person,
One
and that might be the smallest thing. People usually think when you want to help somebody, you have to donate money or you have to give money. It's not like that. Maybe tomorrow Swati Jo calls me up for some small thing. I want to entry to this thing. I'm happy with that. Even that kind of a small help is
Your
good
time.
enough. Job across India.
Yeah.
And in Karnataka also we are doing amazingly well.
Yeah.
And Gram Shilpi has been one of our
Passion projects or like
flagship event,
projects. Okay.
because we are doing another thing called as a Tech Bharat, where we are more involved in startups and this
Okay.
kind of activity. We did do this year, or Tech Bharat also has a very particular domains like food and agri-tech, and those are the some things we are taking forward. And Gram Shilpi is something, last year we did it in Hubli, this time we did it in Belagavi. So we had around 200 participants, and we need to understand the whole Gram Shilpi project itself was done free of cost. It was, the stalls were given free.
Oh,
The transportation for all these artisans from their place of or their where they stayed to Belagavi was given free.
Okay.
Their accommodation was given free. The food for all 2 or 3 days was given free. So everything was given
this
free.
gives
But-
such a huge impetus to
Yeah.
them,
So
to their businesses.
our job is to just create a platform.
Yeah.
Our job is
So
not to
that's-
charge and make money
that's
for
very
ourselves.
important. That's
and even the entry for anybody who wants to buy was free. It was
Yeah.
not like, it was not a paid event. Yes, we did get a lot of support from government
Yes.
of Karnataka, the handicraft department and all. But we intend to do it where we can help these artisans
Right.
develop some kind of a platform. If we are able to give some e-platform,
Right.
we are trying to get them registered under artisan cards.
Okay.
Most of them don't have artisan cards.
Okay.
So they would be eligible for a lot of benefits from government
Okay.
of India.
Would you also be providing them with skills training
Absolutely,
about their
absolutely,
respective
absolutely.
crafts?
We are also with the Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts,
Okay.
EPCH. We are
Okay.
organizing online programs for them
Okay.
about how to use social media, how to use WhatsApp to sell their products, how to do the packing.
Okay.
We are also closely involved with Kinada Toy Cluster.
Yeah, okay.
Kinada Toys, we might
Yeah,
be
I
doing
know
the
that.
wooden toys.
I know that.
And we have collaborated with Indian Institute of Science to put some embedded systems in these wooden toys so that they become more competitive, because kids nowadays, they just don't want to see the wooden toys. If the toy speaks, then they'll
Yeah, right.
like
right.
to have that kind of.
Right.
So we are intervening in that also.
Yes. Of late, however, the name Sachin Sabnis has become synonymous with what I would call, with my own experience, is Prabudh Bharat.
Yeah, that's another.
I was very fortunate to be a part of one such where we had Dr. Prafulla Ketkar and Madhu
Okay.
Kishwar and Shahzad Punawala over there, and it was a completely new experience for me to look at and view and listen to their opinions and the way they think about the nation. Tell us more about the Prabuddha Bharat movement, or rather, I would call.
Yeah, basically Prabuddha Bharat started all over India in 2012. That was 50th birth anniversary of Swamiji. So it was a one-year program being chalked out by Ramakrishna Mission as well as RSS to propagate the thought of Prabuddha Bharat is just
Enlightened India, yeah.
enlightened India. So they wanted to spread across the message for 1 year. But in Belagavi, we thought that during that time you could see in 2012 a lot of media and narrative creation, negative news, and trying to demean our country, and this kind of one conspiracy you can say something was happening. So we thought like we should continue this from 2012 forward, and we have been doing a lot of discourses, a lot of these talks. Every quarter we do have talks, and we want some of the people of authority on some of the subjects of the society as well as the nation to come and enlighten the people of Belagavi on that. So we have a wonderful team out there, and we are doing a great job, and looking forward, there were a lot of lit fests happening. So we thought like we should have something of that from our side also. So we had this step that was first we held it in 2017, then 2019. Then we couldn't hold it for 2-3 years. Then we had it 2022.
Yes.
Basically, it revolves around the social, technology, economics, education, and politics. We just contoured it with these facets, and we have the speakers on that. So a 2-day great event that we do. Just lately, this Saturday, we had something called as a similar. On that, we want to do something for the youth, because the future is about the youth.
Yes.
It is not amongst us. I'm already 50 years old, but it is about the youth. So we have started something called as a Prabuddha Bharat Yuva.
Okay.
So this was our first attempt, and we had a one-day conclave, which was highly appreciated and successful.
As you said, they are highly appreciated. A lot of young students and youth talk passionately about this event, Prabuddha Bharat.
Yeah.
And it is evident from the way they speak after that event that somewhere it has impacted them, maybe opened their eyes, maybe opened their thought processes. Do you feel that is the objective of this?
Absolutely. Just enlightenment. Even people have become aware about what it is, or at least they have a little bit of a change in their thought process. Whenever they are sitting in a group of friends, or whenever sitting in a people a society, and if they are able to express their views in certain way, that's what we ultimately hope to achieve. We don't hope to do a big transformational change. We want to do our small bit to the way they think.
That is what is strengthening the democratic values among the youth as well. Becoming aware is the first step.
That is the problem. Presently, awareness has become, because there are so many distractions, I'll tell you honestly, because of social media, it is very easy to distract the youth. It is very, very easy. So we are trying to do it in a conventional way. Now we want to do it more of a digital way also. But right now the whole discourses and all are pretty conventional. We need to think about our digital intervention also, because most of the youths love to be on those kind of
digital platforms.
Those platforms, and if we are trying our bit on that.
Another aspect of yours which the people of Belgaum have recognized and appreciated is the Save IXG and Belagavi Votes 100%. These two campaigns rather were highly appreciated and very successful. Save IXG, for example, where about the Belagavi airport, and then Belagavi Votes 100%. So how did this come about? Because it was not thought of, nobody had done like this, people coming together, fighting for what we deserve. This was so unlike Belgaum.
No, that was an amazing experience. Save IXG, as we know, IXG is the code for Belagavi. So not many people, they started a hotel by name IXG also. So that was very funny to see out there. But then Belagavi airport just came into dominance, and I have to thank even the airport manager, Mr. Rajesh Maurya has been very, very supportive. And very supportive, like Uday is there, Kiran is there, they have been part of the whole activity. So Belagavi airport already had a lot of planes. And the whole problem started when the Udan scheme came. And Udan scheme got introduced at Hubli as well as Kolhapur. And some kind of a misinformation was spread that Belagavi, being 100 kilometers from Hubli and Kolhapur, Belagavi shouldn't be included in Udan scheme. And that is when most of our flights, or most of these companies like SpiceJet, back then Indigo was not there, SpiceJet was the dominant company out here, and they shifted their whole base to
Hubli,
that
yeah.
time, and Belagavi airport nearly became dormant.
Right.
That is when we thought like we should do something, because see, in modern times, air travel or any kind of logistics, that plays a huge
Yes,
part,
it
important
does.
part in the development of
You
any
know
city.
better being an
Absolutely,
industrialist
because
yourself.
if you cannot develop the logistics, if you cannot do the transportation,
The connectivity aspect,
connectivity
yeah.
aspect has to. Digital connectivity is there now.
Yeah, it's
Digital
there.
connectivity has reached quite a good level of competence in India, but the physical connectivity, such as road, trains, and
Roads by far is very
is
well.
still okay,
Okay.
but something like aeroplane or the aircrafts
Air.
and traveling,
Yeah.
it has to be, because if somebody can come from Bangalore or Mumbai or Hyderabad in the morning and do his business in Belagavi and can
Return back, yeah.
that we just don't know the intangibles of
Right.
how big business can develop out here.
It's the ease of doing
Yeah,
business
so
part
that
of that
was the
also.
thing, and most of the people, I've been very lucky and kind enough. Most of the people, I have to appreciate the whole team who were part of Save IXG. We were just the face of it, but we did our bit. We went
Yes.
to Delhi, we went to Bangalore, and we know there are a lot of things I cannot speak on camera. Like there are some people I cannot name them.
Okay.
They have been really influencers in getting this Udan scheme to
Okay.
Belagavi way back.
Okay.
But the same thing, maybe there is a need to start that movement again.
Again,
because we
a
went
lot
to
of flights have been
12, 14,
diverted,
yeah,
cancelled.
12, 14 flights, and then again I think we are way back to 6 or 7, 8,
Yeah.
8 flights right now. But
But that you should also factor an airline, stopping its operations.
yeah, see, usually the problems with the airline has been Belgaum has been an hub for SpiceJet, and SpiceJet has been a little bit erratic in their operations since last 1 year. So that is one of the reasons for whatever is happening. Secondly, we also have to consider out here a couple of things which maybe, I don't know, I might not sound very, it might not sound very helpful out here, but that's my perception about the whole thing. Yes, there is always a political pressure on getting some flights. But another thing, if we have to see in last 14 years or every month, we are starting a new airport. Like yesterday only we started with
Shivamogga, yeah.
Now what happens with Shimoga, I'll tell you. Once the Shimoga airport starts, Yedurappaji will put some pressure out there to get some flights.
Yeah.
So they have to shift some flights from somewhere to
Somewhere.
there. So India in total has around 700, 750 flights.
Okay.
So 750 flights for 1.4 billion people. America has around 17,000 aeroplanes operating. American Airlines, a single airline company has around 950 airplanes.
For way less population.
So yeah, 1/3 of our population. So if you look at that thing, yes, India would be a great market. Belgaum would be a great airport. But I think maybe we have to wait for another 7-8 years.
Or maybe a lot of more activism
But
from the people.
activism is required. But that activism, what happens? We can get them the flights here, but then to maintain them there will
The
take a
financial
consistent effort
feasibility.
and some kind of a politically very strong will
Okay.
to see that they stay there. But we will surely work on that. We are trying to pressurize and meet the minister also. I think if it's possible, we can.
You mentioned about connectivity being crucial for the growth of any city. We, the people of Belgaum, are always talking about, but it never becomes a major issue. Is that the lack of employment opportunities in the form of major projects, which just like the aircraft, and go to some other city, some other place.
No, see, I'm not a very big propagator of major projects.
Okay.
Honestly, I'll tell you, yes, one or two anchor industries need to be there in for that particular district or city to develop. Belgaum has been more of a sugar cane or a sugar bowl of Karnataka. So a lot of sugar factories and all. From the industry perspective, I always feel that the MSMEs generate more employment as compared to some of the big industries, because looking at the land, looking at the area they acquire, like you get another anchor project out here, they might acquire say 1,500 acres of land, but then what kind of employment they generate for you? Like Indal has been here for, I don't know, donkey years, but how many people you know from your neighborhood who has worked for Indal? Maybe you can just count on your fingertips.
Right.
So, but you ask how many of them go and work in Udyambag. There are many of them. You can just give me a lot of numbers. So Basically, one anchor industry, yes, I agree, it has to be there to support, but it cannot support all kind of industries. So, MSME development, MSME hub, I personally feel would generate more employment for people, and I think we can do much better with that.
You feel that such a major project would not serve the kind of purpose?
From employment point,
Employment
from
perspective.
employment point of view, they don't employ that many
What
people.
about major hospitals or educational institutions like the IIT or the IIM?
Absolutely, IIT is
Because the ancillary businesses will also grow.
absolutely that's IIT. I think there was a big people tried their best
Yes,
to
they
get the
struggled,
IIT
yeah.
to Belagavi, and they had a big chain all the way from KLE till BTU.
Yes.
But I think we were not that lucky enough, and it moved across to Dharwad.
Yes.
So, big hospital or big educational institute, naturally they will develop a lot of ecosystem. Basically, it just creates an ecosystem. Like
Yes.
as you said, maybe the hostels,
Yes.
lot of, because these are
Cab people,
I
the
always
food
say,
and
that's
everything
why I said,
benefits.
like even the aircraft connectivity, what
Yeah.
we spoke about earlier, the hotels basically. You can see the kind of business they develop for the
Yes.
hotels, or even the good roads. If the road between Belagavi and Goa is better, I always look at Belagavi as an extension of Goa. Goa is a tourist destination, but people want to come up the mountains. You go on Saturdays or Sundays and you see so many people traveling from there.
Yes.
So if we provide them a better roads, maybe 20% more people travel to Belagavi, more business for Belagavi, who are the traders or shop
Right.
owners. So these are the
And
things
Goa
we need.
prefers to shop in
These are
Belgavi.
the things we need to look. These are a lot of intangible benefits
Right.
out of it.
So, Dr. Sachin Sabnis, how do you, how does that feel? Okay. So, how do you spend your time? What are the other things? I guess you are also into golf in a major way.
Not in a major
Not
way.
in a major way.
Not in a major way. Honestly, I love to golf. I
Okay.
get to meet my friends and who are really close to me. And lately, I get very less time to do golfing. But Sundays, usually, I try to prefer to keep at
Do you
least
play
half
at
day.
Desur?
Yeah, I do play at
It's
Desur.
supposed to be a very elite sport, but more
Not
so for
necessary,
connecting
not
with the
necessary.
high profile people. Do you
Not
feel
necessary.
that?
That is how it happens in most of the Western countries. In our country, it is not like that. We hardly have people to come and play there.
Okay.
So it's a close group of 30, 35, 40 people, and we
Okay.
play on Sundays. But I don't get much of a time nowadays. I do try to chip in some time to play
Okay.
golf, but
Then how do you unwind?
I love to read books. Honestly, I like to read books.
Okay.
I like to go through autobiographies, history books, or watch some series on
Oh,
Netflix.
what genre do you like in books?
Books, usually I like to read history books or
Okay.
biographies, basically.
Okay. Any particular book which has left a lasting impact or which has changed the way you think, or given you some?
Looked at book from that angle
Okay.
of creating some impact on me, but usually most of the books leave some kind of a one liner with
Yes.
back with you. It's not that the whole book of 400
Right.
pages has something to change the way you think, but I cannot think right away. But there are a lot of books. I have the biographies, like I have traveled, and in India I have not traveled as much, but I'm trying to
Okay.
see a lot of places in India.
See, you come from the services background. Your father was in the armed forces, and then you've traveled to other places. You've been an entrepreneur, a social activist, a thought leader. I would definitely say a thought leader. Do you have a mentor, or did you have mentors in each of these phases of your life? Or
Honestly, this word mentorship is a pretty new word. As I said way back
or
in
maybe look up to
1990,
or a role model,
95,
perhaps.
96. Not as a role model, but Swami Vivekananda, I adore him, and I see to it that for last 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
in my close group of 500 people, every day I try to put one thought of
Okay.
Swamiji.
Okay.
Lately, due to my busy schedule, it just become a little bit erratic, but I try to do it every morning.
Okay.
So that reading of that thought, but sending one thought, I go through at least 10, 12 thoughts. So they leave a impression on me for the
Okay.
whole day,
A
basically.
positive impact,
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
yeah.
So you were talking about the yuva, the youth,
Yes.
who is going to be the tomorrow. You know, the demographic dividend is our strength. What would you like to appeal, or rather reassure the people of Belgaum ki we are in this in the long run, and we are going to be a big part of achieving the 5 trillion economy dream.
Absolutely. As you use the word demographic dividend,
Yeah.
we know at present more than a billion people are below 35 years of
Yes.
age. And apart from that, we also have a demographic window,
Yes.
which is going to be till 2070.
Yes.
And Prime Minister has called it as a Amrit Kal,
Amrit
till
Kal, yes.
say 100 years of our independence. So the future is amazing. India, if you see from all the perspective, it is firing all the guns. We are just on the runway.
Right.
It is the engines are fired. We have to just take off
Take
from
off.
IXG maybe. And I'm really amazed by young people. They are amazing. Honestly, I don't see, they have their own way of living. They have their own way of looking at things. But they are amazingly talented,
Driven, maybe.
driven, and the way they think, the way they want to have the things. It is only that we have to create an ecosystem for them. Once we
Exactly.
create
So
that,
a lot
I think they will
of
do wonders.
educated youth from Belgaum would like to migrate to better places because for lack of opportunities here, as they deem it.
Yeah, we have to create an ecosystem.
You will,
for
we
them.
can keep them back with
Absolutely,
this ecosystem.
absolutely. We can keep them back. We have to strive. Like
Okay.
people like me who are doing this kind of work, or my colleagues who are in this, we are trying our best that we get something.
Could
for
you
them.
be mentors to them?
Surely, we would like to mentor. As I said earlier, maybe I never had a mentor, and I don't know whether I really believe in this.
Okay.
Because today's youth don't need mentors. They are
Like
too
at the
smart.
click,
They are much smarter than us. They can always be mentors to us rather than.
Why
we
not?
being
That's
mentors to
reverse
them.
mentoring.
Yeah,
in fact.
we get to learn because I honestly get to learn a lot of things from them.
Youth,
Because
okay.
they are amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy when I look at them. And India with such a strong demographic dividend, as you said, it's an amazing place to be. In
Right.
next 25-30 years, India is going to be amazing. And
It's going to
things are
rule the
changing
world,
quickly.
yes.
Yeah, it is going to. The
Yes.
things are changing so fast.
Yeah.
We have not seen the things change so fast, maybe.
Okay. In the past, perhaps. The
Absolutely,
speed of
absolutely.
change, the pace of change.
Nowadays, the pace of change is too fast.
Too fast.
Even for us to just control or try to gauge it, it's very
Or
difficult.
to ride the wave.
Absolutely,
perhaps.
absolutely.
It was really nice talking to Dr. Sachin Sabnis, and I
you.
think it is people like you who reassure us that Belgaum has the potential. Okay, we may be laid back, but we have the potential if we make up our minds and if we leverage the ecosystem that we have. It's such an amiable place to live in. Everything is there for us. It's just a matter of time before we make use of all the facilities. Maybe a little more drive would enable us. It was a wonderful evening with the first doctorate from
Thank
VTU,
you.
Dr. Sachin Sabnis. We will meet you with yet another fascinating story of people from Belagavi who make the city proud in small town, big stories. This is Swati Zog for you, signing off for the day. Thank you so much.